Welcome to a South Dakota Varsity Sports update. I'm Jason Andera. Let's start this update out with a look back at some of the best games that we saw over the last 7 days. And we're going to start with a rare 1 versus 1 battle. Yes, number 1 in AA taking on number 1 in Class A. This happened last Saturday night at the Pentagon, and it was live right here on Midco Sports Network. Let's take a look at those highlights. T area getting ready with the lights going. The crowd was really energetic for this 1 versus 1 battle, and the first points of the game came on a 4-point play. Noah Freidel hitting from the corner. Foul on Nate Breck. He had 2 early fouls, which really disrupted this game, but Jared Jaros comes right back down for Sioux Falls Lincoln and hits a 3. And then Noah Freidel hit a 3 of his own. So this first quarter was off to a good start. Justin Hone finds Caleb Joffer on the inside, and they would take an 8-point lead at half. T area, the smaller school, getting it done. But then Lincoln stays right in this game. Tyler Hyatt to Max Burchell, a couple of juniors, keeping it to a 5-point game. But then a 10-1 run to close out the third quarter. Noah Freidel making his moves on the block. They would take a big lead here in the third quarter, and into the fourth quarter, it was all T area. But there's one highlight for Lincoln. We have to show you the dunk by Jared Jaros on the breakaway. He's left-handed, but look at this. Goes up righty and puts the 2-hand slam home. But for that point on, not much to highlight for Lincoln. And T area, the Class A number 1 team, stays unbeaten in the state. Let's move on to Tuesday night, where 1 versus 2 in AA. Lincoln remained number 1 despite that loss, taking on Brandon Valley, the team that wanted to take that number 1 ranking away. Jared Jaros gets things started for Lincoln. No problem. They built up a 9-3 lead early, but then Carter Altoff erased that lead by himself, taking it to the hoop with the and 1, and they would actually take a lead at the end of the first quarter. Evan Telcott in the second quarter now, getting Brandon Valley out to an 8-point lead, 28-20. Big swing in the first half. But Jared Jaros swings it back in the Pats' direction. They take the lead 41-40 on this drive to the hoop. And to end out the third, Brandon Valley takes the lead again. It was lead changes left and right. Jackson Hilton with the steal and score, 48-47 as we end that third quarter. Moving to the fourth quarter, it belonged to Sioux Falls Lincoln. Jared Jaros, the big shot from the top of the point. They took a 55-50 lead, so another big swing, and Lincoln remains the number 1 team in the state. After the game, we talked to Jared Jaros.
First half, we had dead energy, and Halstead kind of got on us about getting some energy, so fourth quarter, we just kind of like talked to each other, and all of us needed to be a part of it, and I don't know, we just kind of exploded there.
All right, we had number 3 versus number 5, another top 5 battle in AA hoops. At the Pentagon on Tuesday night, Roosevelt and O'Gorman. It was close throughout. This is the end of the third quarter. The steal by Tucker Large, the sweet dish to Michael Paulson. A couple sophomores for Roosevelt, tying it up 32-32 into the fourth. And then another steal and break. This one's Luke Ronsick for O'Gorman. Hits the and 1, and the Riders were up by 1, now down by 2. But to answer that, look at this. Tucker West goes up for the big slam, and momentum swings once again. Roosevelt had a 41-40 lead coming with 12 seconds left to play. Derek Roby's going to draw up a play to try to win this game. In the end of the game, he goes to Okoye on the low post with the little hoop over the top, and they would take a 1-point lead. A couple of fouls and a couple inbounds would end this thing out, but was no change in lead. And at the end of the game, we talked to Okoye about that game-winning shot.
I knew I was about to take it, honestly. I knew it was going in. Coach told me I'm about to win this game, so I did. And I heard my teammates on the bench. My coach gave me a high five, told me I did a super good job. And,
A lot of great games over the state this week, but now it's time to hand out our game ball for the week. Let's start in girls hoops. What a list of performances to go through. Let's start with Morgan Edelman of Menno. She went for 33 points and 13 rebounds against Irene Wakanda, and then followed that up with a 25-point game against Canton. Big week for her. Sam Cluse of T area. They played a stretch of 3 games in 4 days. She averaged 16.6 points per game and lifted T to an undefeated record over that time. Tuesday night, Lexi Plitzowite, a school record 44 points in Vermilion's double overtime win over Dakota Valley. And we also have to talk about Mason Teason of Canton. She helped her team double last year's win total over the last 7 days. They won 1 game last year. They won 2 this week. She went 20 points per game, 8 rebounds per game in that stretch. That is a huge deal for Canton. But the game ball goes to Lauren Seas of Avon. What a week. She played 4 games over the last week, scored 122 points, including a 40-point game on Tuesday night. And that also put her number 1 for Avon career points with 1,796 for her career. What a week for Lauren. All right, let's look at the boys' hoops. Another difficult decision on the line. Let's talk about some great performances. Matthew Moore's Tuesday night in Sioux Falls against Washington, 37-point performance. Karst Hunter of Miller, a 31-point game with 14 boards to lead his team to a win against Ipswich. How about Caden Casey of St. Thomas More? He scored 18 points in a single quarter. In the third quarter of the game against Harrisburg, he finished with 22 on the night, but 18 in that one quarter. And then Tuesday night, played a ranked Red Cloud team and went for 15 more points. How about Connor Libas? He's like always on this list, never quite up there for the game ball, but keeps tearing it up. He had a 38-point game on Monday. He shot 9 for 14 beyond the arc. And then he came back with another 21-point performance on Tuesday night. That sophomore averages 28 points per game this year for the 12-3 Cardinals. That is something else. Ali Rama, he's also won a game ball for us this year, but he put up a 60-point game. Yes, 6-0. That ties him with Josh Mueller for a Class A single-game record. Congrats to Ali on that one. Nick Whitler had a 37-point game for Sully Buttes. Paul Bruns of Dakota Valley, 30 points with 10 steals against Spirit Lake on Monday. But the game ball, how about Noah Freidel? Back-to-back 30-point games against unbelievable competition. He gets this week's game ball. He dropped 30 points against West Central last Thursday night, 5 of 9 from three-point range, and then came back Saturday in the big 1-versus-1 matchup, biggest game of the year that he's had, and goes for 33 points, not to mention 8 boards and 5 blocks on defense. Noah, you deserve the game ball for this week. All right, time to talk about overrated or underrated. Each Monday, the South Dakota Media Poll comes out, and we put the weekly rankings together, and I look at them and compare them to my own rankings to see who I think is overrated and underrated. And remember, it is just my humble opinion. Let's start out with the Lennox boys. They have won 11 straight games now against in-state in their class competition. Their only losses this year came on the opening night of the year against Sioux Falls Christian, ranked number 3 Sioux Falls Christian, and then lost to Rock Valley and St. Paul Central of Minnesota, teams outside of the state who are winning at a clip of about 70% this year. Brock Anderson, Quincy Einen, and the rest of the senior-dominated lineup are really putting a nice season together, and I think, let's turn the slide here, I think they are underrated. I think they are a team that definitely should be in the top 5 right now. All right, let's move to Vermilion girls, the Tanagers. They put a nice season together. Nobody's debating that, but do I think they're a top 5 team? Let's reveal it. I think they're a little overrated right now. I've got my doubts. They are just 3-2 over their last 5 games, and in one of those wins, they had to go double overtime against a 6-9 team, and they lost to Sioux Falls Christian at home by 15. So I'm going to say slightly overrated for them, which leads me to the next one. Sioux Falls Christian girls, the team that beat Vermilion by 15 points. I would put them in the rankings instead of Vermilion at this point. The Chargers haven't lost to a team from their class since that 0-2 start back in December, but since then have collected wins against Roncalli, Unity Christian, Vermilion, Clark Willow Lake, some very good teams along the way. I think definitely an underrated team. Watch out for Lexi Unruh and Sioux Falls Christian over the next month. All right, time to check in on a few milestones back in January. I missed a couple I want to circle back around and hit right now. Corey Brown went over the 1,000-point mark, and his teammate, Halen Badbear of Pine Ridge, also over 1,000 points in January. So congratulations to those two teammates. And the next milestone were a couple girls in girls basketball who hit the 1,000-point club. Morgan Edelman of Menno, who we talked about earlier in the game ball segment, just a sophomore, went past the 1,000-point mark on Tuesday. That's one to watch. Abigail Arend of Bridgewater Emory also scored her 1,000th point on Tuesday night for BE, and they've won 9 straight now. A good run for the Huskies right now. And we're keeping an eye on one more guy. Jarrett Blumenrader of Highmore Herald is closing in on 1,000 career rebounds. Not points, rebounds. That's amazing. All right, we will leave you with this week's Thunder Report. Some more slams. And remember, you can always send us more dunks in. We'll show it up on the Thunder Report. Thunder Report time means it's Matthew Morris time. Beats his man off the dribble and finds a way to bury it home on the baseline. Matthew Morris going crazy with the dunk. In that same game, Carter Shields with the steal and the slam. Open court for Carter Shields. How about that? Nice dunk. Tuesday night, more dunking going on. The steal and the slam. Tucker West checks behind him to make sure nobody's coming. He's got that. And he throws it down. I think Tucker Large is more excited about this one than Tucker West is. And then at the number 1 versus 1 battle, Jared Charles was out earlier. We'll see it again. Goes up strong, doesn't worry about the defense, and he gets some hair on that one. Nice dunk by the 6'2 senior. Then, in the Pentagon Classic, Carter Broke gets away on the break for Western Christian and throws it down. More Tuesday night dunking from Viborg. Check this out. Viborg Hurley's Brody Sherman finds Chase Mason on the alley-oop. And he did it not just once, he did it twice. Check this out on the steal. An open court pass. Brody Sherman from beyond the three-point line finds Chase Mason for the exclamation point.